Evening all. So what we're going to do today is have a look at, well, this is a phenomenally close battle. And I mean phenomenal with a capital F. Because it was one of those weird ones where, you know, I guess you didn't have like two crack squads. You had maybe two sides, you know, that were a mixture of good players, mixture of bad, you know, and it was I don't mean bad players, new players, let's say, but it was one of these kind of good rounds where I think there was just a general, you know, level playing field in terms of skill. So it was a joy, and you'll hopefully see that as we play. Now I start off shotgunning and lasering and all that good stuff, but I'm afraid I do call in my tank later, so I will give you fair warning now that there is a bit of tank footage in this one. But it's my kind of thing at the moment. I know that I'm kind of flying the flag for tanks at the moment. They do need a bit of a nerf, but we'll go into that. Anyway, so here we go. I finally died and I'm in my tank. Now, this was what, again, these are the maps that you really kind of hope you get, because as you can see, obviously this is kind of to and fro. Now keep your eyes on the A, B, C, D, E in the top left hand corner. You'll see as I kind of, you know, fade wipe, that there's a constant kind of taking back and forth of each of these points. Now what I started to do is I actually called in my tank. I don't get many kills in this thing. I don't rip it up. What I'm actually doing here is trying to take out infrastructure more than anything, because we're doing a bit of theory crafting around what role tanks maybe will do, because I think obviously they're going to get nerfed to balls and hell, but that maybe end up what they do. But then their role will probably be something more akin to, you know, putting them on the field and taking out structures. So, you know, and I think that kind of makes sense, and I think that might be a good role for them. So, you know, we're getting kind of into the, you know, the realms of spider tanking, armor and shield tanks, using really, you know, the ability to take out infrastructure. Because again, once it's a fascinating thing, the biggest you know, tactical asset on the map, yes, it's the CRUs, they are critical, but in terms of, I guess, the wider appreciation of the map, certainly for tanks, is the supply depot. And that supply depot is something that I think is a major headache to most veteran players, because generally if you see somebody rushing with heavies and you've got a supply depot near you and you're in another fit, for example, you can quickly go and adjust your tactic to theirs. So I think supply depots are, you know, they really are you know, an incredibly important asset, and that's why when you're in tanks, generally the first thing you want to do is destroy that supply depot. Because again, most people will do like this dude obviously spawned back in. He spawned as a swarm launcher, you know, forge gunner, whatever, what have you, because he knows that obviously that's yeah, there's a tank, let's take it out and kill it. And I think really this is why, you know, I would propose that the best thing you can do, you know, in a tank certainly, but also in a kind of veteran, you know, group of players, is pretty much take that supply depot out if you have the merit to do so. Now you don't necessarily have to all the time. Sometimes just holding a supply depot is more than enough. Because the ability to quickly react, quickly repair armor by shifting fits, and such is quite an important thing. So also just, I mean, you know, an obvious one here is if you're being completely mullered and you're being absolutely taken apart, you maybe want to switch to a cheap fit before you lose it. So if you're, you know, if you're being pushed on by a huge, organized group of players, the last thing you want to do is die with your Devol or your Vizam laser. You know what I mean? So, you know, a quick, sneaky refit into a militia build means that when they come around and swarm you, you actually don't lose anything too bad. So, well worth a look at, because I think it's kind of an interesting tactic. Now, in terms of this map, who would you say would win right now? I would say we're looking quite good, aren't we? But look at the control points now. We're basically being pushed back. My tank is still kind of trying to kill all the supply depots and all the turrets and all that good stuff. But again, I'm being pretty useless. I'm being the worst tank in the world because I'm not really contributing to capturing anything. I'm killing the odd player, but not many, not enough, let's say. And I think this is really kind of, you know, the matches that you really look to do. So in terms of clones, it's about equal. In terms of MCC, it's about equal. And if you're watching the ABCDE, it's switching back and forth pretty rapidly. So, you know, we're all of a sudden into a bit of a an interesting one here, because we're not entirely sure who's going to win this one. Now, the first thing I kind of notice in these maps, this map particularly, is these 2 CRUs are just absolutely critical. If you can kind of hang around these CRUs, you're not going to do too badly. I think, you know, a lot of people spawn in at the CRU, and they make it their primary focus to capture, which is a wise move, because obviously they're very useful if you're losing control points. But I would almost say that they also become a primary target as well, alongside supply depots, because to be honest, you know, I should be spawn camping these guys, but I think at this particular point it was more important to deny them the ability to get into the game, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was being a bit of a being a bit of a dick, to be honest, but and I think this is kind of the way that you have to, you know, drive tanks. I think, you know, you do need to do that kind of you know, focused approach on infrastructure and taking it down. And I think that's probably what tanks will turn into. I think they'll certainly, you know, this is really, you know, you see these turrets, it's all about taking down these turrets, stopping them being an asset. Also, I think there's also been, I just did a round, which I'll probably share in maybe the next video, which was a very heavy tank round. It's amazing how many people are now getting the balls to deploy tanks, because we had on our side, I think, 4 tanks, and we had against us probably an array of maybe 5. Some of the militia, same on our side, but what actually happened was, and it wasn't an exclusive, you know, tank blasting infantry map, for all of a sudden it became a tank versus tank, infantry versus infantry battle, which was interesting. I've never really kind of seen that in too much depth before. So it started to become quite a challenge, because they were calling in tanks with the sole purpose of killing our tanks and vice versa. So I'll share that video in the next one, certainly. But I think, you know, for this particular round, there's only really me rolling around in a tank, and all I'm trying to do is just keep the command points. But again, if you looked at this now, you'd probably say we've lost in terms of the control points and the MCC battle. Ooh, not looking great. And in terms of the clones, I'd say it's certainly not looking good. So, but you'll probably be noticing that I'm also a terrible tank pilot by the fact that I missed my junction. But you're probably also noticing that a lot of their team are, I guess, kind of sitting, waiting to kill a tank or sniping. So all of a sudden, when it got to this lower, I guess this low, yeah, the kind of final points of the game, a lot of people started, you know, kind of turtling, I think it's called, which always sounds a bit wrong, but they turtled up, because they know that this is a sensitive time of the map. If this is it, you know, kind of make or break time. So when we get to 9 and 11, who would you say is going to win now? It's getting tense, isn't it? Now I'm pretty nervous at this point, because again, I'm still working on the premise that if we lose the round, there is a chance I lose my tank. So I was I was like screaming, fire the orbital, do whatever we've got to do. So we go to 6 to 7 clones, and it's 4 versus 3 units of armor on the MCC, 5 versus 5, 4 versus 5, pretty tense, isn't it? 3 versus 4, and I think, right, let's try and take out the clone unit. Then I'm thinking, what am I doing? Why am I taking this out? But it's pretty close, 3 versus 3, and then it's 3 units of armor versus 2, 2 units of armor versus 2, 3 versus 1. Oh, it's close. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Looks like us. Oh, maybe not. 2 versus 1. And then 2 versus 0. And who's 1? Who's 1? Who's 1? And then I kill that dude. And in theory, we should have won. Yeah, we did. So there we go. Another close battle. And, you know, I think that was, on comms, it was great. Everyone was kind of really screaming and saying, oh, yeah, we've done it. And there was a real sense of achievement with that particular battle. So I think hopefully you've had your own experiences of battles like this. Post in the comments if you've had some very close battles. Maybe they've been court battles. But yeah, let us know how they've gone. And I think, as you can see, pretty good teams either side. I think it was a really good, and again, only because I spammed a tank like a shameless newbie did I get those kills. Just a quick update as well. If you want to email us, please don't send us anything in game. My inbox in game doesn't seem to work anymore. So we now have an email if you're interested. And also check out the website if you are interested in further information. And that's something we will develop over the next few weeks, months, whatever. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.